I mean, I'm not saying I never talk to family members, but I talk to family members all the time now, not about me turning them in or anything like that, but what can they do? And you know what I tell them that they should do if they really want to do something different? Join Al-Anon. Don't just go to meetings and talk about the problem, but find a sponsor and work the 12 steps so that you know how to cope with these things when they come up. Because every one of us has this stuff, because life doesn't stop just because I get sober.
Well, hello, friends of Bill W. and other friends. You have landed on Sober Speak. My name is John M. I am an alcoholic, and we are glad you are all here, especially newcomers. Newcomers, that is, both to recovery as a whole and newcomers to this podcast. Sober Speak is a podcast about recovery centered around the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. My job here on Sober Speak is simple. My job is to provide a platform to the amazing stories of recovery all around us. Consider Sober Speak, if you will, your meeting between meetings. Please remember, we do not speak for AA or any 12-step community. We represent only ourselves. We are here to share our experience, strength, and hope with those who wish to come along for the ride. Take what you want and leave the rest at the curb for the trash man to pick up. From Studio AA, deep in the heart of Texas, that was the voice of our friend Mr. David G. that you heard at the beginning of this here episode number, what do we have, 447, is that right? Let me go look here. No. It would be 448. Here at the beginning of episode number 448, and you are going to hear so much more from David in just a moment, but first things first, this here episode, the one you're listening to at this very moment, is brought to you by Suzanne, David, Kurt, Lori, and Mike. And so you wonder, you ponder, you think to yourself, what exactly did Suzanne, David, Kurt, Lori, and Mike do? Well, they wandered by our humble little website, www.soberspeak.com. They clicked on the little yellow donate tab and they made a contribution. So thank you so much, Suzanne, David, Kurt, Lori, and Mike. This here episode is coming right out to you'uns. All right, so you're about to hear David G, and we are going to be discussing the upcoming step study. So if you want to register for the study, and we can talk about this on the episode, but go to our website, soberspeak.com, either click on the resources tab or look for the little sign on the homepage that says sign up for the step study. Or if you can't find it, just email me at johnjohn@soberspeak.com and I'll get you hooked up, because that's, I don't know, it's the kind of guy I am. It's just who I am. It's how I roll. Anyway, so David's going to be talking a lot about this, and I can't even remember if I said this, but this is going to, the step study is going to start on May 26th, which is a Tuesday at 6:00 p.m., and we're going to continue that for 12 consecutive weeks. And David talks about so many things in this episode. I'm just going to go right into it, let you guys hear David chat, and then we will have, as always, plenty listener feedback at the end of this episode. Enjoy, David. Okay, everybody, so we are back with the one and only, the Mr. David G, the one many of you have heard so many times before, and we'll talk about the topic of our discussion here in just a moment. So first things first, Mr. David G.
Hey there, David Alcoholic, September 15th. I know what you want. September 15th, 1993. Grateful to be here, as always. And I go to the Frisco group.
You know, I want to tell you, I've never talked to you about this before, but when we are introducing ourselves in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and it's going around everybody goes, "Hey, my name's John. I'm alcoholic. I'm
Right.
May 29th, 1989." When you're the next one up, like they barely finish like sometimes they don't even finish it.
I think we do things too slow. The way we say the Lord's Prayer, it's like we all have breathing issues. Our Father, who art in heaven. I mean, just spit it out, man.
You're just like, I swear.
And listen, I'm not judging, but I got to say, when there's 75 people introducing themselves and one person says, because of the grace of God and a loving this and that and the other, I mean, I totally get that. And I'm so happy for people. But, when you have 75 people, if all 75 people did that, we just wouldn't have a meeting. We just all introduce ourselves, put money in the basket and then go home. So anyway, I'm a little cranky about that, but that's okay.
Oh gosh, it is so quick when it comes to you. And then
You should hear me read how it works. It's like I'm in a race.
And when you chair a meeting, you're like, okay, get it out there. Okay, now it's just time to let's get on with the topic, right? Just start sharing. Come on.
So the reason for that is that the group I got sober at, we read the preamble, made a topic, and started to share. So it wasn't like 15 minutes into the meeting before the topic came up.
Right.
Anyway.
And all the announcements.
And I love the way it is now. It makes me so happy. We have like 3 pages that the chairperson has to read besides how it works. And then they might read a couple pages out of the big book. Anyway, I was never a member of a book club, so I'm not used to this.
And then at the end with all the announcements, it's like 3 pages of it.
Like we don't know you can't have more than 49 people in the group right now. I mean, we're all aware. There's only 49 chairs for a reason.
So talk about that a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, we moved into our new spot, which we shared about last time, which was nothing but miraculous. And then the fire marshal condemned the stairs on our building, and they have to rebuild them, which apparently isn't measured in weeks, but months. And so we can't have more than 49 people there right now, even though our normal capacity limit is 149. So anyway, it's been a little bit of a challenge.
So you can tell people, like, how has that been navigated?
Well, we had other groups that popped up to help during the transition anyway. So there's a lot of that. We started a 10 o'clock meeting, which I go to every day. I love it. It's such a great time for a meeting. And so they just found ways to kind of take the heat off. And we usually have somewhere between 45 and 48, 49 people there.
Right. It's weird that it works out just that way.
Like the 7 a.m. meeting that used to be like 10 people, the same 10 people every day, is now, I think yesterday it was 45 people.
Wow.
It's 7 a.m. I didn't even know 45 people were awake at 7 a.m. I'm certainly not. So that's how. I mean, the other meetings have just gotten bigger.
Right. And there is, and this is kind of a weird thing. It doesn't happen very often from what I see, but every once in a while, you hit the 49 capacity.
Yeah, people have to leave.
Yeah. So, and how does that?
Well, the old timers have decided, like they've picked who say, hey, listen, I'll leave if we need to. So when new people come in who don't know what's going on, they just quietly get up and leave.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It hasn't been that much, but I think last Friday, maybe 2 or 3 people had to leave. So it's not some staggering number, and it's really only Monday and Friday.
Right. So I'm wondering what's going to happen, though. Okay, first of all, do we know when the fire marshal is going to...
As soon as the stairs are up. So they've demolished the front of the building.
Yeah.
So there's an empty hole there with a board over it. So I guess no one walks off the ledge. And as soon as they get the stairs there and put them up, that's it.
Is there a time frame for it?
No, because the landlord finds it irritating that we would want a time frame. He thinks that that's intrusive. Seriously, you can't make it up. I think he's mad at us because it was the inspection of our thing that the fire marshal looked at the stairs that you could see were falling apart. Literally, we went up the elevator. I was scared of those stairs. And so, but I do think that he kind of holds us, culpable for this expense he's incurring. Yeah. because he has definitely told us to stop asking when they're going to be done.
That was what I remember going over to that building before we actually ended up renting it.
Right.
And I went up those stairs and I
Yeah.
took a picture of those stairs and I said, this is an issue,
Well,
right
I
here."
thought they just were going to have to replace some of the actual stairs.
Right.
I didn't know the whole structure was just as bad as some of those stairs, But anyway, there's an elevator, thank gosh, and the back stairs are fine. But yeah, so we're limited and it's put a crimp in our style, but it's adjusted. The group is actually thriving just at more
Yeah.
meetings. There's
Yeah.
meet people at the 7:30s, the 5:30s are 40, 45 people every day, which they used to be maybe 20.
I wonder if when the stairs get repaired, if that noon meeting will go back up to, as you know, sometimes it's
Oh, for
100
sure.
people, right? Yeah.
It will for sure.
Yeah, it's like, I think the capacity is like 125.
If we have all our chairs out, we have 130 chairs out. And that's pretty stuffed. I'd say normally before the fire marshal, we were filling up maybe 95 chairs.
Yeah. And just so people know who are listening to this maybe for the first time and you haven't heard all these other episodes, we're talking about the Frisco group.
Right, where John and I met.
Right.
Yeah.
Been a while now.
It has been. So not to be controversial, but I can't help but say this. One of the amazing things that's happened that I would never have guessed is that the demographics of the group have changed pretty dramatically, where you're seeing more people of more races, more religions participating than we ever had before. And I think this is where it gets controversial. I think it's because a lot of those people weren't comfortable going to a meeting at a church.
Oh.
It's the only thing I can come up with. I didn't do a study, so no one come back at me on that. But that's what's happened.
Yeah.
We have a lot more people who are Muslim, of color. It's becoming very prominent at the group where it used to be a very...
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yes, Anglo-Saxon kind of thing.
All right.
So anyway, it's nice.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of different perspectives and people, and it's just beautiful to watch what can happen when a group is kind of reforming based on having to have moved.
And there's a lot of newcomers.
Lots of newcomers.
Right.
Way more people coming. I just think that people, even people who were raised in church, alcoholics just kind of come in a little jaded. And the idea that they're going to be in a trailer behind a church just maybe weirds them out.
Yeah, like may bring back some PTSD from Sunday class.
I don't know.
What am I trying to say? Sunday school class.
Sunday school class.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, it's been really cool to see.
All right. And you just got back moments ago from, say, this is kind of my day to record and all that kind of stuff. We're doing this on a Saturday afternoon.
And I was late. I just want to point out because I knew I was doing this today. I told my wife last night, hey, after the noon meeting, I'm going over to John's for maybe an hour. And then it was cleanup day because now we don't have the church to clean our mess. So every Saturday after the noon meeting, they do a little cleanup. And that's mopping the floors, cleaning the bathrooms. I was bathroom guy today. And someone looked at me leaving and it hit me right in my codependent spot. And I said, oh, yeah, I'll help. And I went and cleaned the bathroom. So I was late. But anyway, I wasn't doing anything fun. I wasn't at the mall buying T-shirts.
Buying T-shirts.
So I got to tell another funny story. So when I was first sober, my sponsor, Clovis. So we did the cleanup at our group between the women's meeting, which was at 10:30 to 11:30, and the men's meeting, which was at noon. Okay. And so from like 11:30 to 12, a crew of, just people would show up and I would always go, probably because I wanted to be there when the women were there because I didn't really like men's meetings then. And I didn't do it every week, but when I did it, I would clean the bathrooms. I cleaned the bathrooms today. I guess I like to clean bathrooms. And so I was in there, scrubbing around under the urinal where the worst of the worst happens with my rubber gloves on. and Clovis comes in and he walks by and he peeks in at me. He goes, hey, you'll stay sober longer if you do this with the door closed. And sure enough, I was in the bathroom today, cleaning the bathroom with the door wide open so everyone could see what service I was to the world. That's not what I was thinking, but it brought back that memory of Clovis for sure.
All right. So let's go to what we are mainly here to talk about today. So you, as you know, so okay, so let me give a little background on this. So I last year, toward the end of the year, I started thinking, God, we got this huge community here. When I say the sober speak. All right.
Yep.
We have this huge community here. We have, I know, like 5,000 or so people in the Facebook group. We got 5,000 or so people on Instagram. We've got the mailing list, and there's this huge community. And I started thinking, okay, how can we, besides just being there and letting people post stuff and all that sort of, which is good, how can we actually help people a little bit more? What do people need? What are they wanting us? So I posted something in the Facebook group about, when I say the Facebook group, the super secret Facebook group, which most people are going to know about on here. And I posted something to say, what do you guys, what are you looking for? How can we help? What are, going into the new year? And one of the ideas that was born out of that is they said, let's do how about a step study? And I was like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. And then the first person that came to mind when I was thinking about a step study was the man sitting in front of me right now, Mr. David G. And the reason being is because David does step studies all the time. He does at least one a year here in Texas, but they're always in person. And I have people write in about it because they hear us talking about it on a consistent basis. And they say, when's David going to do that? And, if I'm in North Texas, can I join and all this sort of stuff? But it's, logistically speaking, it's kind of tough for people.
Right.
So I called you up. And I said, hey, would you be willing to do something like this online? And you're like, yeah, I think so. Let me think about it. And then a month went by or so. We had another conversation. You was like, I'm in.
Yep.
So here we are. So we have, I sent a newsletter out. By the way, if you're not on a newsletter, go to our website, soberspeak.com, and click on the sign up for the newsletter tab. But I sent out a newsletter saying we're going to be having a step study with David G. And so that's why David's here today. We're going to talk. I want David to kind of explain, okay, what does it look like when we're doing a step study? What's his experience like been over the years? How many has he done? The whole 9 yards. And then we'll just kind of wrap it up and let people know where to register for it if they want. So with that being said, first of all, when did you start doing these step studies and why?
So in 94, I had worked the steps. I got sober in 93, and there was a sign-up sheet on the wall at the group for a step study. And a guy named Roy C.
Is that the same Roy that I know that
Probably.
goes to Frisco now sometimes? Oh, okay.
That's a different Roy. But
he used to work.
He's a Roy too, but this is another Roy.
Okay, got it.
So Roy C. had a step study, and I asked Clovis, hey, there's a step study. Should I do that? I'd never even thought about it. And he goes, yeah, there's no bad way to try your hardest to work the steps. And so I said, okay. So I did his step study in Dallas for several years. And then I came to Frisco, and there were step studies, but they didn't seem to be everyone was invited. I would hear that there were step studies going on, but there's a whole thing in Frisco kind of about lineage that we didn't have at my old group, where you have your sponsorship lineage and that you do things with them. And so I wasn't in that lineage because my sponsor wasn't John yet. I was being sponsored by my sponsor down in Dallas. And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to do a step study. And so I had the paperwork, I made copies, I made announcements. John actually participated in the first one.
Oh, was I in the first one?
Over in Little Elm? Were you in that one?
No, I wasn't. I was the one in the groups
at St. Andrews.
Yeah.
That's right. So we did it. We started just like typically, with about 40 people, and we finished with maybe 15. The one Jekyll and I did was crazy because I remember this about the first one you did, is that we had like 60 people show up to the first one, and it was the most chaos. I didn't know what to do with 60 people, right? I didn't know how to handle it, and it did not go well in the sense of being organized. And I think we ended up with like 6 or 7 of us. Now, the interesting thing, all but one of those people is still sober, and 4 of us, still go to the Frisco group.
Yeah.
So one of the things I want to say about the STEP study, and you say, what can we do as a community, is every meeting I go to, there's usually at least a dozen people at the meeting who I've done the STEP study with or worked the steps with as a sponsee. A lot of my sponsees do it. And so what really happens when you do these STEP studies is you get to know the people that you're doing the STEP studies with just a little bit better. And there's also a little bit, and I'm not saying this to be needling or passive aggressive, you also recognize all of the people who say that they're going to work the steps and find a reason to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a big deal to me because that was my MO prior to getting sober, is I was a great starter, totally into it. And then my willingness petered away. And I always had an excuse. I didn't say to someone, I'm just not willing anymore. I never said that. Oh gosh, my soccer league just started and we're playing on Saturday mornings. And this was the real big tagline. And I've heard this no less than 100 times. It's just not fair to everyone else that I can't be there every week. As if there's some fairness about me working the steps for the other people in the group, and that's alcohol.
Okay, everybody. So I'm going to give you a little backstory here. That was probably a sudden stop for everybody. And now I'm talking here. Let me just tell you what happened. David and I were recording, and then the SD card that I'm working with here, it said the card is full, and it just cut us off. And we were in a great conversation. And what was you saying about my face?
That you got this look on your face that I absolutely knew something was wrong.
All of a sudden I looked down and there were a bunch of zeros on my recorder here, and I knew something was going on and it wasn't good.
Yeah, you're like, this has been gold and it's gone now.
Right. I was scared. So we got you up to a certain point, and I was loving the conversation, and then it just like I realized we had missed part of it, but we got part of it, not some of it. But hey, this is life. These things happen.
This is life.
Okay, so here's what I don't remember. If we repeat something that they've already heard, sorry, but I'm not going to go back and listen to everything.
As long as I don't make up a whole new thing that's completely contradicts everything else we've said this whole podcast. I'll do my best.
Okay, so. Oh, and this makes it so much harder on the editing on the other end, but I won't bore all you guys.
Climb off the crotch. We need wood for the fire. It'll be fine.
Okay. So one thing that I don't think we talked about this, but I'm not completely sure. But what I was saying is that in this area, you are basically known for the phrase of, we're in a 12-step program, but, you see people in 12-step program. So explain to that.
All right. So I came to AA for a long time, and my moment of clarity, the actual real one, because I want you guys to know that when you're drinking yourself into blackouts and coming out of it in crack houses, there's been a moment of clarity for a long time that I'm not drinking and using successfully. But the moment of clarity that got me sober was that I had never worked the 12 steps the way other people with long-term sobriety talk about working the 12 steps. And that is what I knew. And so through the years, what I've recognized, and my sponsor, Clovis, told me this. He said, you're going to recognize that there's people in AA who really don't have to work the 12 steps all the time to stay sober. They can just maybe go through the book once, or maybe just, put the plug in the jug. But whatever, they're able to go to AA. They're our friends. They're our compatriots, but they don't necessarily have to do what you have to do to stay sober. And so I don't sit there judging people, because it's not mine to decide what people do or don't do. But I think about myself and how crazy it was with what I knew about what happened when I drank. How crazy it was, and that every time I decided to take a drink after weeks or months of sobriety, I was completely sober when I decided to take that drink. And so I, with a clear head, decided to send myself down the trash chute one more time. However, I went to AA from 1987 to 1993. I went daily from 1992 through 1993. Well, actually, 1991 through 1993. And during that time, I listened to people talk about the steps. I talked about the steps. I heard people. I saw them with their big books with all the highlighting and all the little things in them and writing in the margins and all this stuff. And I kept relapsing. And so it never occurred to me until September 15th of 1993 that I needed to work the 12 steps. And so I would challenge anyone about this. Is it crazier to soberly decide to take a drink with looming consequences that even if you've sorted them out, there are going to be new ones that are worse than the last times? Or is it crazier to go to a meeting every day for years, hearing people talking about working the 12 steps from the big book, literally carrying the big book with them, with highlighting in it, quoting the big book, talking about how this miracle has happened in their lives, that they've been placed in a position of neutrality, have no desire to drink whatever, are not perfect human beings by any means, but have the problem has been solved for them? Isn't it crazier to go through all those meetings and not have it occur to you, oh, I don't do that? Maybe that's the problem. And so what I'm going to say to you right now, and this isn't a plug for anything other than, we're talking about the 12 steps. When is the last time I sat down with a piece of paper and wrote a 4-column inventory, which is the way I'm taught to do inventory in AA? Into step 10, there's not some other secret inventory. When they say continue to take personal inventory, they're talking about resentment, fears, and relationships, sexual and otherwise. When is the last time I sat down with a piece of paper? I can tell you right now, it was 2 days ago. It was 2 days ago because I'm in fear, because I'm in the middle of a big work change. And although it looks really good, I'm not getting paid anything for months. And we have a mortgage and we have children and we have whatever, the same things all of you got. And I was getting into a lot of fear about that. And so I sat down, fear about finances. What is going on? Well, I've given up my old contracted job, and that money is petering away. And I'm just starting on a new thing here, and I'm not even officially doing it yet. And that stuff I won't get paid on until probably November, December, January, maybe February or March. And I don't know what I'm going to do if the money runs out in my savings, right? And then in that part about self-reliance failing us, well, self-reliance has failed me because I'm thinking about how it's all going to be a disaster. I am not thinking about how I have been sober for 32 years, and every time any financial problem has arisen, it has always worked out in a way that has been better than I ever could have thought of. And probably the biggest of all is self-reliance fails me because I no longer, when I'm in that fear, believe that God is taking care of me, that my higher power is taking care of me, that if I follow these principles, if I treat people the way I would like to be treated and stay sober, that things will work out in a way. And so what is the 4th column? The 4th column was simple, and it's spelled out so beautifully in the book. It says, just to the extent as we do as we believe God would have us, are we able to match calamity with serenity? And so I need to look back on my life, and I need to be real mindful of all the gifts and the grace and the beauty that 32 years of sobriety have given me, and focus my attention on the fact that I am a horrible, horrible, burn your face with a hot crack pipe addict who has not had a desire to use in all of these years. And if God can make that happen, and this program can make that happen, and I tell you what, I didn't even have to call you about it. As soon as I finished writing the 4th column, I was relieved, because that is what we're called to do.
And so I want to bring this up too, because while we were working here, or I was working on kind of technically resolving what we had to get done here, a new SD card and all that sort of stuff, you received a call in the meantime,
Yeah.
and I don't want to give away anybody's personal journey.
Right.
And,
You didn't hear it anyway. You only heard me talking.
I heard you talking, and you were telling the guy, "Can you?"
Yeah, I said to him, I said, get out a piece of paper, turn it sideways, write 4 columns, and I want you to start with naming the person who you're obsessing over. I want you to write about what it is that's going on in your mind that's driving you crazy, and then I want you to write about how it's affecting you and what mistakes you're making. And then when I'm done with John here in about 20 minutes, I'll call you on the way home and we'll talk about, what is God's will in this situation? Because that in the end is what we promised. We promised on our knees that we were going to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. And that means something. That means we move on to step 4, which is inventory. That means we move on to step 5, which is going to happen in my car with him on the phone in a few minutes. That means that we talk about these defects of character that we're powerless to change, but we're willing to change and willing to participate in the change. And if I've done anything hurtful to another person, being willing to go to them and make that change. And that is why I believe step studies are so important, because they have taught me what Alcoholics Anonymous prescribes for all of my needs.
And I just want to point out, David, he doesn't talk about it a lot, but this is what he does all day long, every day. Sometimes I'm sure it gets frustrating sometimes, but you're really consistent with what you do. And once again, David runs sober living houses.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of both formal conversations and informal conversations. And David gets to talk to the family members all the time as well,
yep.
which can be really
it's
sad.
A new one. That's just been over the past 7-8 years while I've had these houses.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I never talk to family members, but I talk to family members all the time now. Not about me turning them in or anything like that, but what can they do? And you know what I tell them that they should do if they really want to do something different? Join Al-Anon. Don't just go to meetings and talk about the problem, but find a sponsor and work the 12 steps so that you know how to cope with these things when they come up. Because every one of us has this stuff, because life doesn't stop just because I get sober.
That's right. Okay, let's talk about the step study.
Okay.
And by the way, I'm going to put this link in the show notes for those of you. That's just basically if you go to this, wherever you're listening to the podcast, there's usually details or notes or something like that. Sometimes they call it episode notes, but it will have a link to this URL, which is soberspeak.com/online-step study registration. All right. I'm not going to go through the entire thing because there's dashes in here and all that sort of stuff. Just go to your phone. Or if you can't remember any of that, just write me at John, JOHN, at soberspeak.com and I'll get you the link. But here's what we have. We're starting it on Tuesday, May 26th at 6 p.m. Central Time in the United States. Now, we talked about this, it's hard to get a time that's going to work for everybody. Maybe at some other point we'll do it at a different time, but it's going to be May 26th, 6 p.m. Central Time. And David G here is going to be leading it. Here's what we want you to know. It's open to everyone.
Everyone.
You don't have to be an alcoholic.
This is not an AA meeting.
No. And so you could be an OA, you could be NA. You don't even have to be in any of the A's. Right. Maybe you're just curious about what the steps do.
Right. What'll happen if I do them?
Right. And you want to do that, so it's open for anyone. And David, what happens if you miss a week?
You miss a week. Yeah. Keep up with your homework and do your best and come back the next week. We just want to do this together. We're not looking to, there's not going to be any gold stars or demerits. We don't have penance hall or anything like that. If you can't make it one week, well, I may not be able to make it one week too, and we'll have guests that you guys know. We'll hit up some of the guys who do a lot of podcasts and let them lead. Because in the end, I'm just another guy who went through the steps from the big book and had a miraculous experience. And I will be sharing at all of these meetings and setting up other people to share at these meetings and then listening to you guys share at these meetings. But in the end, all we're going to be doing together is working the 12 steps from where we are in our lives today.
So it starts on Tuesday, May 26th, and it lasts how many weeks?
I think 12 weeks sounds like a good number. Now, we're not going to do a step a week because, like, the fourth step needs more than 1 week, but we might combine steps 2 and 3. I haven't absolutely decided exactly the way we're going to do this. This is new for us. We've been doing the step studies for years and made them less structured than they were before so that people could be where they were at and not feel like they could only talk about alcohol. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things appropriately during the meetings about where we're at and where we really need more God in our lives.
That's a good way to phrase it, where we need more God in our lives. This is going to be, just so people know, it's going to be via video. I think we're going to use Zoom.
Yep.
But kind of explain to people, we'll see them, they'll see us.
Well, yeah, it's just like the Sober Speak Lives that we did during COVID, which is kind of cool. I'll see you, you'll see me. I mean, if you are having a bad hair day, I won't care, but just don't show yourself in the picture. And I'll try to be nice and rested up for this thing because I'm really excited about it. There's a lot of you guys that, I've had some private conversations with from all over the world, people who I talk to, on a somewhat regular basis or just an occasional basis. And the idea that we get to now go through the work together and make a commitment to do it together is just going to make us all know each other better and be better for the people around us that frankly need us to be better and want us to be better, no matter how good we've gotten.
Yeah. And I see people joining, just so you know, from over the pond, in Ireland, and we see them in all over the UK, in Australia.
Yep.
Definitely have people in Canada, and so we're looking forward to that. Okay, so there's going to be weekly homework tied to each step.
Correct.
Talk about that.
So the way we'll start it and the way we'll do the reading assignments, we'll use primarily the big book, but certainly we'll use a little bit of 12 and 12, is at the end of each meeting, I will let you guys know what we're going to be reading for the next week and what we're going to be writing about from the previous week. And so let me give you an example. So the first week, we're all going to read the doctor's opinion, and we're going to focus in on the idea of abnormal reaction, allergy, abnormal reaction. And we're going to talk about that and share about it in the meeting. And then the assignment writing for that next week will you writing out what you mean by personal powerlessness in regards to the subject you're bringing to the step study. And then you will read Bill's story, and we'll have an assignment at the end of that meeting. And we'll give you those assignments verbally, and John is going to find a way to post them, though I'm not sure he's entirely sure how that's going to happen, but it will be there.
Yeah. So, and I want to let you know, so people have asked, can we record this and post it on the podcast? But it's challenging because some of this is like you giving a lead and then other people sharing, but then we kind of go into small groups, right? And I don't want to record the video of any of this, and I don't want to record the audio, especially of the other people. And so I don't think I'm going to be able to record this, but maybe you and I can go back through the steps again at some other point, just kind of more of an interview style. So I just want to let people know that I know
we will be live in the sense of being on video and audio during the study itself.
During the study, right. I'm just saying it's not something...
Some people may not want to be recorded what's going on in their lives.
It's not a...
We're going to keep it in that sense like an AA meeting. What you hear here, who you see here, when you leave here, let it stay here.
Okay. And this is going to be a little bit of a tricky part. When you are doing step studies here live in North Texas, and you say, okay, we're going to break into small groups now, you just pick out one number off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and everyone goes to these various corners or whatever.
Yep.
However, I think in the Zoom world, what we're going to have to figure out is how do we put people into small groups?
Yep.
And at that point, they'll be able to talk to each other.
Yep. And typically we get to a point where there's just, maybe a couple, and even toward the end, once we get, if we have people fall off, which I hope we don't, the groups change and the dynamic changes. So that's kind of a work in progress. Right now we have under 100 people. So we would probably, if there's 80 people, we would probably do 10 groups of 8 and let you guys get your sharing in, and John and I will pop around so we can hear different people. And then we'll all come back together at the end of the meeting. And our goal, because alcoholics do not have an attention span beyond 1 hour, is to have it be a 1 hour meeting. So we're not going to go on and on and on. This is not going to last 3 hours. We're going to set it up so we start at 6 and we end at 7.
And here's another thing I want to make sure that I bring up this on this page. It says registration and cost. So I put out a $5 registration fee for this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I just want people to feel they're a little bit more invested in this, so to speak. It's just $5, right?
Yeah.
But here's the other thing is if you can't afford the $5, I could care less.
Or if you have a personal opinion that you don't think it's a good thing to have the $5.
I agree.
We're no more going to question that than I would question someone who doesn't put a buck in the basket.
Right. And just so you know, the $5, if we go over the cost that it costs for this thing, we're going to put that right. We're going to give the donation to Alcoholics Anonymous somehow, some way, probably the GSR or something like that.
Yep.
And so this is not a money-making thing by any stretch of the imagination. All right. I think that does it.
Sounds good to me, man. I'm looking forward to it, guys. Let's get it on.
Yeah. So go register. Once again, go to soberspeak.com and look for the sign up step study registration sheet. And I will also, like I said, I'll put this in the show notes so you can access it there. And if all else fails, once again, just email me at johnjohn@soberspeak.com and we'll look forward to seeing you. All right. We always end it with anything else before I read?
Nope.
Okay. Page 164. It says, abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. They're talking about the steps here, right? Yep. This is what the step study is all about.
Yep.
We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us, like me and David G. and all the rest of the people that are going to be on this step study. You'll surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. Once again, my friend, I'll let you go now so you can get on your call with the young.
Man, this is going to be so cool, guys. I mean, I feel like a warmth inside, like this is the right thing for us to be doing. So I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
God bless you. Thank you so much, David, for joining me. And we'll May 26th at 6 p.m. Central, which is a Tuesday for 12 weeks in a row. That is the start date. So anyway, God bless y'all. Thanks for joining. Thanks for coming in, David.
All right, guys. See ya.
Always good having David in Studio A and recording some audio. I just love the man to death. He's done so much, so much for Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm appreciative to have him in my life, his family in my life. And I've known David for many years. He's such a good guy, and you're going to enjoy the step study if you ended up joining us. And once again, if you want to join, you can sign up for the step study at soberspeak.com. Just look for the sign up for the step study tab or go to resources there at the top. And there's a little page that says register online step study. I'm looking at it right now. So anyway, we hope to see you there. All right. Now on to a little bit of a listener feedback. And so I was traveling last week before, and I've got quite a bit of listener feedback here. I am going to see how much of this I get through. I may have to do some of this next week as to not wear people out with my voice. Anyway, JD writes in, and JD says, greeting once again from sober St. Augustine. I know Mr. JD. Yeah, we used to, first of all, he used to come to our, at one point we had a weekly yoga little thing that we had here, the Sober Speak yoga studio. I don't remember what we called it, but we had a yoga thing and JD would come in and join us. Love JD. And I used to live out there near him. He lives in St. Augustine, Florida. I used to live in Ponte Vedra. Wow. What a coincidence, right? Anyway, he says, "Hello, John. I heard my friend Michael H. Yes, yes, yes. Chime in on listener feedback on the last episode, which was episode number 444, Good Dudes Rule. And I realize it's been almost 2 years since I dropped a line to tell you how grateful I am for your podcast and your continued work spreading the message." JD says, 7 years ago, my life looked totally different. I did not have any hope for my future. My marriage was quickly disintegrating. My relationship with my children was suffering. I was not happy at work, and I had bills and problems coming in, and they seemed to pile up around me. It seemed like alcohol was my only solution, despite still being the source of all my troubles. I finally had a moment of clarity in July of 2019, which led me into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I quickly got sober in a network. I quickly got a sober. Excuse me. I quickly got a sponsor and a network of sober new friends. I attended 180 meetings in my first 180 days. As I look back now, almost 7 years later, I am astonished how things have turned out for me. My wife and I will celebrate 23 years of marriage. Good for you, JD. This year, and we are now more in love with each other than ever. Both of our daughters have given us one grandson each, and those little boys are such a delight. Wow, very cool. I am so grateful that I am young, present, and a sober grandfather, and have regained my place in the family. I only share this to prove that a little hope for people like me, things do get better. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but they always materialize if we work for them. Be well, John, and thank you for all you do, JD in St. Augustine. Well, this proves that people actually do listen to my listener feedback, and so I'm glad to hear that. Thanks, JD, for writing in. And yeah, I've been going back and forth with Michael. I know he was going to go out to the Arizona area, and I think he said, if I'm not mistaken, I get so many emails that he may be coming here to this area where I live at in Texas as well. And I just said, hey, I'll look forward to meeting you. I'll guide you some meetings if you need it. And anyway, that's so cool. All right. That was our St. Augustine connection out in Florida. Thanks for writing in, my friend. Jimmy writes in and he says, "Hey, I crack corn and no one care." I'm just kidding. Is that how that song goes? Jimmy crack corn and and he don't care. Jimmy crack corn and I don't care. Or I guess it's the person singing the song that is saying that Jimmy, for whatever reason, is cracking corn. I don't know what that means, but Jimmy's cracking this corn, and apparently the guys who's watching him is saying, "And I don't care." I don't know how that song came about, but it's there. And I could have the lyrics wrong. I'm completely working off the top of my head here, but nonetheless, Jimmy writes in and he says, "Hey, John, I was recently cracking corn." I'm just kidding. I was recently traveling from Burundi back to my home in Rwanda. My new routine since sobriety is while at airports and on airplanes, I listen to your podcast. It has served me well. The past routine was to drink like a maniac until we landed. I can't imagine how I did that. Thank God for AA. I loved the Curtis J episode and his shout out to Father Richard Rohr and the CAC. It would be awesome if you could get Father Richard Rohr on the podcast. He, in his later years, has slowed down, but he has so much wisdom. I once had a meeting with him. Oh, wow. And may be able to find may be able to find a contact with his people. It would be great to hear him on the show. He talks a lot about masculinity and recover. It'd be gold for the pod. In peace, Jimmy. Well, Jimmy, as you know, I emailed you back and I said I would absolutely love to have Richard Rohr on the podcast. However, I remember when I tried to reach out to him many years ago. Like it said something on his website about he's not doing any podcasts anymore. But if you have connections and you can get him to me to be on the podcast, I would absolutely love it. And I have also mentioned this before. A good friend of mine here in the area, Curry, actually got sober because he was listening to Richard Rohr's book. And it talked about the 12 steps. And it's slipping my mind right now what the name of that book is, but that's what got him into Alcoholics Anonymous. Anyway, I'd love to talk to Richard about that and many, many things. I'd give him as many episodes as he wants. If you can get him in touch with me, Jimmy, I appreciate it. Anyway, thank you so much for writing in, Jimmy, and peace back at you. Bridget writes in, and the subject line is newsletter. She said, "Hey, John, I recently came across your podcast, and I love it. You are so joyous. It is a pleasure to hear you and listen to the speakers on your podcast. I tried to sign up for your newsletter, but the link did not work. Please add me to that list. Sober blessings, Bridget B. in Los Angeles, California." Well, Bridget, as you know, I got you on the list, but for anybody else who wants to join the newsletter, go to our website, soberspeak.com, and there should be, let me look here, I happen to have it up. It should be on the homepage there. It says sign up for our newsletter, and all you got to give us is your email. Nothing else. Not your social security number, your birthday, your favorite color, nothing. Just your email, and we will get you on that list and communicate with you. Scott writes in. Scott says, "Hello, John. I've been listening to your podcast for years now, and I've been in and out, and I do not have a lot of time. My wife and I are moving to Plano to help my daughter with her first child, our first grandchild. We currently live in Houston. Can you tell me when and where that group meets in Frisco? I think you said it's a good meeting also on Saturday. Thanks, Scott." And then he gives all his contact information. And so I reached back out to Scott and just said, "Hey, whenever you're coming to the area, just let me know. There's a lot of meetings here in Frisco, and but we'll get you we'll get you hooked up." And the one on Saturday is good. It's called Frisco Fourth Dimension. The traditional, and we have a big group. It's called the Frisco Group, and we have another one called Stove Touchers, and we have another one called Sunday Survivors, and there's more that are in the surrounding area, but we'll hook you up. There's plenty of stuff going on, and I'd love to meet you face to face. Ron writes in, and Ron says, "Hi, John. Thank you for accepting my request to the super secret Facebook group." Well, Ron, the pleasure, my friend, is all mine. He says, "I was a high bottom, flying under the radar alcoholic for most of my life. I never lost a job. I'm still married to my wife. I never lost my house. I was primarily a single drinker. After work and the weekends, but I did consume more than my share of alcohol when the occasion permitted. I think I found you by searching for podcast on alcohol recovery. Now I look forward to every Friday for the latest issue. All of your guests have been great. I can't pick out any special one. As an alcoholic, no matter what the others have done, I have either done it or could have done it." I hear you, Ron. "My sober birthday is September 5th of 2014. Oh, with any luck, I will have 12 years soon. Looking forward to the next episode, Ron." Well, thank you, Ron, for writing in. I appreciate ya. All right. So here is one that is via snail mail. And let me give that address while I'm thinking about it. The snail mail P.O. box that Mike monitors, our one and only great friend, Mr. Mike, is Sober Speak, 1962 East Apache Boulevard, P.O. Box 7925, Tempe, Arizona 85281. And Mike monitors that for people that either want to write in a physical letter or they, for whatever reason, cannot email us. And so this came in via Mike in the snail mail. Mark writes in and he says, "Hi, John, this is Mark. You read my letter on episode number 441. And I hope all is well with you. I forgot to mention in my previous letter that my sobriety date is 6th of June, 2025. I continue to listen to the podcast daily, and I have been telling others in my beautiful gated community, laugh out loud, about Sober Speak. For those of you who don't understand what he's talking about there, he's talking about how he is incarcerated. And then he says, I don't know exactly how to express or explain in words the impact that some of these episodes are having in my life. I'm especially fond of the ones with Dave F. I have come to tears more than once listening to him in the workshops that he and Mark Houston did before Mark's passing, as well as the episodes Dave has done with you. It is obvious that Dave is grateful and at peace, which is evident by his emotions as well as how he esteems his relationship with God. Very well put, Mark. John, I am an emotional person as well. Heck, as a child, I used to cry every time Charlie Brown got a rock in his candy bag when he was trick-or-treating on the Charlie Brown Halloween special. Oh, that's a great Mark. He says, I will say I'm happy to have some and still be in the process of getting my emotions back. This is one of the things that alcohol did to me. It took my emotions away and just screwed them all up. Man, I can relate to that, Mr. Mark. Still working on getting them in the right perspective after masking them and or closing them off for so long. Man, I relate to that too. Now, after being sober for some time, they are coming back. And at times I find myself being easily emotional, and then he says, not always good in a prison setting, laugh out loud. He says, I want to include that many people that enter the prison systems go through this. This sudden return of emotions is a crucial moment because if they are changed right, I believe that can be a good thing. John, could you please include this message to Dave F? Could you please forward it to him for me? And if necessary, let him know how to contact with me on the Securus app. Thank you, and God bless you, John. So, as you know, I copied you on that email, Mr. Mark, and hopefully hopefully Dave was able to reach out to you. But that's really, really a well-written email, and I appreciate you. Okay, so, and here was, I think Dave wrote in again. Yes, he says it was from Mark. This was okay. Here was the note he actually wrote to Dave F. So Mark said, Dave, my name is Mark K. I'm an alcoholic. I'm currently incarcerated at the Tomoka work camp in Dayton Beach, Florida. I have listened to your episodes with Mark Houston and John on Sober Speak, and I have to say they have really opened my eyes spiritually to many different things. Something was said that really hit home with me, and once again, he's talking to Dave. I think it was Dave who said this, I have no say in whether or not I take another drink, unquote. This is the sole responsibility of my higher power. Hearing this now, I realize when I step into a situation and I feel I have anything to do with it, quote, not drinking, quote unquote, I'm in trouble and I'm falling back on myself, and self has got me where I am today, living in this beautiful gated community. It was said my job or my part is to make sure that my relationship and connection with my higher power is right above all else, and things will work out. Dave, there's so much I don't know and a whole lot I want to learn. I would be grateful if you'd be willing to connect with me and help me through the steps. I have never worked through them, and I know unless I do, I am setting myself up for failure again. I would do anything to be anywhere near where you are spiritually. I want to stop there for a second and say that, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, Mark, and my friend Casey called me up one day after listening to Mark on one of his episodes, and he said, man, I really love what Dave is putting out there, but the only challenge with it is it makes me feel like I'm really not working a very good program. And I get that. But anyway, he says, I have never worked through them. I would do anything to be where you are spiritually. You make it sound so naturally and very deep at the same time. I have a lot that I would like to share with someone. I now believe that in sharing about myself and my past, I will find the peace I've been looking for so long. I believe sharing is where the healing will come from. I would be grateful if you would consider communicating with me. You can connect with me by going to the Securus app, using my name and a particular number, and it will instruct you how to connect with me, or you can write me via postal mail at a particular P.O. box in Tampa, Florida. And then he says, thank you, Dave, for your time and consideration. God bless. Sincerely grateful, Mark K. And then he signs off. And so anyway, once again, Mike, our friend Mike, thank you for monitoring all of this. I appreciate it. And as you know there, Mr. Mark, I copied you on an email with Dave, and I'll get out of the middle and let you to communicate. All right, everybody. So I've got more listener feedback, but I'm just going to cut it off there. We'll get more of it next week. God bless y'all. Thank you so much for listening. I take this one week at a time. I hope to get out another episode next week. Keep coming back. It works if you work it, and may God bless you and keep you until then. We'll sober speak to you soon. Get it? Sober speak. Bye.